Hi everybody, it's Seth, your Mild Mannered Mage, and I'm here to commit some more crime with the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Today we've got a play booster box from the current Magic the Gathering release, the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Play boosters, as you know, starting with the Murders at Markov Manor, have replaced set boosters and draft boosters. So this is now what we are opening up with for our regular just drafting boosters. This comes in the pre-release kits now. So this is just your standard Magic the Gathering pack. So I've got a complete play booster box here, and we are going to see what sort of crime we can commit here. So let's break into to here. So I've already been to my pre-release. Did not fare as well with my pre-release with Thunder Junction as I did at Markov Manor. I came in next to last, so again, not quite as good, but still had a great time hanging out at my local game store. How many packs are we looking at in here? I know they went up, so we get showcase cards, additional rares and mythics, plus a traditional foil. I don't think it says here how many packs, so we'll just we'll count it up when we bust into this and see what we got. All right. So here is just the insert. We'll put that off to the side. Alright, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3 stacks of 12. So we are up to 36 packs in a play booster box. So we'll do this in 3 stacks of 12 then. And we'll set these off to the side, and when we come back, we will start breaking into these packs of Magic cards. And just as a thank you for joining me, here is a arena code, and we'll be showing some arena codes throughout the rest of this video, so keep watching and keep winning some Magic cards on arena. I think this one is actually from Thunder Junction, so there you go. Leave that up for a second. So, when we get back, we'll start breaking into these packs. And we are back, and we're going to be breaking into our first set of 12 play booster packs. So let's get into it. Ooh, these open a lot easier than the collector booster packs. And let's see what we got. Starting off with a Slick Shot Show Off, Flying Haster. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn, and you can plot it for 2 mana. Into a Fling, and a Claim Jumper. Really liked this mono white ramping rabbit mercenary. Vigilance 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, if an opponent controls more lands than you, go get a plains and put it onto the battlefield. And then if an opponent controls still more lands than you, repeat that process again. Alright. So off to a fairly good start. There we go. Pack number 1 is in the books. Moving into pack 2. Tomb Trawler for our foil. Back for more. Into a Caustic Bronco. When it attacks, reveal the top card of your library, put it into your hand. You lose life equals that card's mana value. if it isn't saddled. Otherwise, each opponent loses that much life, and you can saddle it for 3 mana. I like that. Extra card draw is never a bad thing. And then we're getting into our commons. Alright, and we're trying to kind of get through these packs a little faster than we normally do. So we have an art card. Let me put this token over here. Another fancy land. Pest Infestation. Green and double X. Destroy up to X target artifacts and or enchantments. Create twice X 1/1 black and green pest creature tokens. With when this creature dies, you gain 1 life. Right, that's a pretty good board wipey type spells. Karavek the Punisher. Human Warlock for 2 black and 1. Whenever you commit a crime, exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard and copy it. You may cast the copy if you do lose 2 life. Alright. Would like to see a Tiny Bones in here. I haven't seen one of those pop up yet, so maybe we will get lucky in this box. Still also looking for an Oko and a sword. Land. Fierce Retribution. Alright, a double down. Whenever you cast an outlaw spell, copy it. So that's an assassin, mercenary, pirate, rogue, or warlock. Then those copies become permanent tokens. That's pretty cool. And that's our first mythic of the day. We'll put that right over here. Okay. Another land. And then into our commons. So now that we're 2 sets deep into the play boosters, what does everybody think of the play boosters? Do we like them? Do we hate them? Was it a good idea? Tell me what you think in the comments. Hypothesis. Stoic Sphinx. 2 blue and 2. Flying Flash. Has hexproof as long as you haven't cast a spell this turn. Return the favor. Moving right along. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is pack number 6. So we're at the halfway point for this first stack of 12. Repulse into another pest control. Or no, this is pest control, not Pest Infestation. So white and black, destroy all non-land permanents with mana value 1 or less. So that's good token removal right there. That is a mythic right there. Kellen joins up. For Bant, when it enters the battlefield, you may exile a non-land card with mana value 3 or less from your hand. If you do, it becomes plotted. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control. And some more commons. And again, yeah, this is a brand new recording setup. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. What do you think of it? We've got a Bedevil, 2 black and a red. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. 3 steps ahead. These are the new pay extra spells. I really like them. So you can kind of control what you're doing. So it's blue plus, and then you can pay an extra 1 and a blue to counter target spell. So that's 3 mana for a counter spell. Pay 3, create a token that's a copy of target artifact or creature you control, or pay 2 to draw 2 cards and discard a card. And then you can do all 3 of them for an additional 7 mana. So that's 8 mana in total. It's kind of interesting. I think I kind of like that. Hell to Pay, red and X, deals damage to target creature, deals X damage, then create a number of tapped treasure tokens equal to the amount of excess damage. So you want to overpay with this to get that mana back, and then have something like a unwinding clock or something to have access to that mana. Some ways to untap those treasures would be good. Otherwise, you're just sitting on them until your turn floats back around. Ooh. Here we've got a golem. Skullcrack. 1 and a red for a Skullcrack. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. It deals 3 damage to target player or planeswalker. That'd be good, especially if you're trying to kill somebody and they're trying to gain some life to prevent it. That would do it. Kellen the Kid. This is the first Kellen that we've seen since Kellen came out that didn't have an adventure on him, so kind of interesting. So for Bant, Flying Lifelink 3/3, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, you may cast a permanent spell with equal or lesser mana value from your hand without paying its mana cost. If you don't, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. So that gives you some good land ramp, and I mean, I'm thinking like, being able to cast things from exile. The whole plot mechanic for Tell would be good with this. I think you could do some fun, dumb things with Kellen. And again, that's also thinking about it from a commander mindset, which is what is my primary wheelhouse, Let me know what you would do with Kellen. Love to hear your comments in the comments section. Oh, and then here we have another mythic. Greed's Gambit. When it enters the battlefield, you draw 3 cards, gain 6 life, and create 3 2/1 black bats with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you discard a card, lose 2 life, and sack a creature. When it leaves the battlefield, you discard 3 cards, lose 6 life, and sack 3 creatures. So that's kind of interesting. It gives you a big boon, but then it slowly whittles you down, and then if you lose this, then you lose a lot. Laya Undefeated Slick Shot. Prowess, so it gets +1/+1 when you cast a non-creature spell. Whenever you cast a multicolored instant or sorcery from your hand, exile that spell instead of putting it into your graveyard. As it resolves, if you do, it becomes plotted. So kind of, is it spell slinger, plotting, casting from exile effects. So I could see that getting out of hand quickly. And here we go into those comments. So we've got 2 packs left in this stack. Now let's see what we got. Crime and Punishment. Crime for 3, a white and a black. Put target creature or enchantment from an opponent's graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. And punishment, black, green, and X. Destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with mana value X. Then we have Rakdos joins up. When Rakdos joins up, enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with 2 additional 1/1 counters on it. Whenever a legendary creature you control dies, it deals damage equal to that creature's power to target opponent. So that's making you want to do Rakdos things, cast some legendary creatures, sack them, and deal some big damage. And the last pack from this first stack of 12. Let's see what we got. Oh, whoops, wrong spot. Eret the Beguiler. We first saw her in the Wilds of Eldraine. Lifelink 4/4. Whenever an aura you control becomes attached to a non-land permanent an opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to that aura's mana value, gain control of that permanent for as long as that aura is attached to it. So you want to start doing some aura attachments and stealing stuff so that you can then, attack your opponents with it. So that's kind of sneaky. Free Strider Lookout, green and 2 for reaching 3/3. Whenever you commit a crime, you may look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tap and the rest on the bottom in random order. And this triggers only once per turn. And that is it. That is our first stack of 12. All right, we'll get this cleaned up here and move on to our next stack of 12. In the meantime, for hanging out with us today, here's some additional arena codes. I appreciate y'all hanging out. And when we return, more Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We'll see you soon. And we are back with part 2 of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. And we are here now with our second stack of 12 play boosters and ready to start breaking into these packs and see if we pull anything that we are looking for. So let's get into them. Alright, and then got a Jagged Barrens, into a Holy Cow, and a Prosperity Pose Fractured Identity. Exile target non-land permanent. Each player other than its controller creates a token that's a copy of it. So it's a good way to rob somebody of their combo piece and give a copy of it to all the other players. So that's a pretty nice card there. Good hit. That is a mythic rare. Fantastic. And then we also have a Rush of Dread, another spree card. 2 black and 1 that you can, for an additional 1, target opponent sacrifices half the creatures they control rounded up. For an additional 2, target opponent discards half the cards in their hand rounded up. And then for an additional 2, target opponent loses half their life rounded up. So for all told, this would be 2, 4, 5, 6, 8 mana to get all 3 modes. So that's kind of an interesting mono black card. I think with the discarding of the cards, that'd go great with Tiny Bones from this new set. Lots of great functionality, I think, in Commander. Visage Bandit, Rise of the Varmints, Cactus Folk Sure Shot, and then into our commons. Alright, so that is pack number 1. Let's get into the next one. art card. Love these western lands. Those are really nice. Have a Heartless Pillage. Into an Ornery Tumblewag. This is a Bushwag mount for a green and 2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. Whenever Ornery Tumblewag attacks while saddled, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature, and you can saddle it for 2. Now, we were talking about saddling in the previous video. So you can tap any number of other creatures you control with power 2 or more, since this says saddle 2. This mount becomes saddled until end of turn, saddle only as a sorcery. So you can saddle it to get the added bonus effects, kind of like crewing a vehicle, but you don't have to saddle it to attack it. You just saddle it to get the bonus effect. Into a Blinding Negotiation, Shepherd of the Clouds, Miriam Herd Whisperer, and then into our commons. Alright. Trying to keep all my stacks straight as I go. Pack number 3, another art card. And a full art land. Oh, and then here we have a foil rare card, and this is Ty Joaquin Perfect Shot, red and a white. Whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to a creature equal to that creature's toughness, draw a card. X and tap it. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus X instead. So that way you are able to trigger that draw a card ability. Alright, into a Tyrant Scorn, and we're just hitting all the mythics. Here we have Rakdos the Muscle, 2 black, a red, and 2. Flying, Trampling, 6/5, Demon Mercenary. Whenever you sack another creature, exile cards equal to its mana value from the top of target player's library, so you're stealing stuff from other people. Until your next end step, you may play those cards, and mana type of any type can be spent to cast those spells. Sack another creature, Rakdos the Muscle gains indestructible until end of turn. Tap it, activate only once each turn. Alright, so you can sack a creature. So commander-wise, tons of sack outlets. You know, Altar of Dementia, Phyrexian Altar, Ashnod's Altar. You've got Viscera Seer. You've got the guy that makes the goats that I can't think of. So lots of different ways to sack. And then Rakdos the Muscle on top of his ability is also a sack outlet. So, you know, you've got plenty of ways to be able to sack things to get the bonus, to be able to do the thing, and to give indestructible. So I like it. Actually, I put that card in the wrong spot. Resilient Roadrunner, Shackle Slinger, Longhorn Sharpshooter, Make Your Own Luck, and then we get into our commons. All right. Here we go. Mercenary Token. Another land. To uncommon, and then here we have Fortune the Loyal Steed. Whenever it enters the battlefield, scry 2. Whenever Fortune attacks while saddled at the end of combat, exile it and up to one other creature that saddled it this turn. Then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. Saddle it for 1. So this is good in a blink deck. Being able to get this to come back in, you're getting that scry ability, and then being able to saddle it something with an ETB, you know, pair this with a Panharmonicon, you know, double ETB triggers, you know, just trying to get all sorts of benefit out of it, trying to, you know, get all the triggers, I think is going to be your best bet. All right. Next pack. Fake Your Own Death, and then we've got Surgical Extraction for a Phyrexian black mana. Choose target card in a graveyard other than a basic land. Search its own owner's graveyard, hand, and library for any number of cards with the same name as that card and exile them. That player shuffles. So, yeah, if you know your opponent's deck, you know, thinking from a commander aspect, you know, this is a good way to remove a key combo piece, you know, a card that gives you a lot of trouble. So that would be, that could be, you know, clutch for you. Then here we have the Gitrog, Ravenous Ride, black, green, and 3 for a Frog Horror Mount. Trample and haste 6/5. Whenever the Gitrog, Ravenous Ride, deals combat damage to a player, you may sack a creature that saddled it this turn. If you do, draw X cards, then put up to X lands from your hand onto the battlefield tapped, where X is the sacrificed creature's power, and you can saddle it for 1. So this is going to be a good lands matter commander, trying to, you know, dump lands from your hand onto the battlefield as quickly as possible. And then we get into our uncommons, and then a bunch of commons await us. There we go. All right. Into the next pack. Oh, and then here we have a foil Electrodominance. 2 red and X. Electrodominance deals X damage to any target. You may cast a spell with mana value X or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. So that's pretty good. I like that. Into a Repulse. And a Lotus Ring, 3 mana, indestructible. Equipped creature gets +3/+3 and has Vigilance. And tap it, sack this creature, add 3 mana of any one color. Into and a cool, the Unrepentant. 2 black, 2 red for a Scorpion Dragon Rogue. Flying Trampler 5/5. Sack 3 other creatures. You may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Activate as a sorcery and only once each turn. So a good way to dump some big nasties from your hand. And in Rakdos, there are a bunch of big nasties. Into our uncommons and our commons. Okay. Land foil, Ride Down, and an Outcaster Trailblazer. When it enters the battlefield, add 1 mana of any color for green and 2. When another creature with power 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card and you can plot it for 2. Now, plot's kind of an interesting mechanic. So you can pay green and 2 to almost foretell this card and then cast it as a sorcery on a later turn without paying its mana cost. And you can only plot as a sorcery. So it's kind of an interesting concept. I had a lot of fun with it during pre-release. So, you know, you can have some interesting times with it. All right, and moving right along. Oh, there's the zombie rogue that goes with Geralf. not terrifying in the least bit. Murder. And here's another mythic rare. Ultec Matterweaver. Whenever you cast a creature spell, choose one. Create a 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature token. Okay. Or create a token that's a copy of target artifact token you control. So, yeah, make a token of something, an artifact token, and then just make a bunch of other tokens of it. Step Between Worlds, 2 blue and 3. Each player may shuffle their hand and graveyard into their library. That's a May ability. Each player who does draw 7 cards, exile Step Between Worlds, and you can plot it for 6 mana. But you can cast it for 5 mana. So do a hard cast for 5, plot it for 6. Alright. And all of our commons. Mercenary. Okay. Terminal Agony. And here's one of the new lands. This is a reprint. Botanical Sanctum. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. So that's a good dual colored land that comes in untapped, a little unrestricted land. Alright. Though that can certainly come in clutch early on, having it come in untapped and having access to both colors and not having to wait a turn. Art card. Land foil. Cruel Ultimatum reprint. 2 blue, 3 black, 2 red. Target opponent sacks a creature, discards 3 cards, then loses 5 life. You return a creature card from your graveyard to your hand, draw 3, and gain 5. That's an oldie but a goodie. And then here's Tiny Bones, the pickpocket, in our wanted flyer art. Death Touch in 1/1 with their Tiny Bones. The pickpocket deals combat damage to a player. You may cast target non-land permanent card from that player's graveyard, and mana from any type can be spent to cast that spell. That is a good hit right there. 1 mana commander. I will take that every day. Alright, and 2 more packs left in this stack. Let's go and see what we got. Humiliate. Into Calamity Galloping Inferno. Hasting Horse Mount 4/6. Whenever Calamity Galloping Inferno attacks while saddled, choose a non-legendary creature that saddled it this turn and create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of it. Sack that token at the beginning of the next end step and then repeat this process. So I think you get 2 tapped and attacking tokens. I'm going to have to double check with my buddy who's better at the rules and timing than I am, but I think that is the case. And the last pack from this stack of 12. Let's see what we got. I don't know if we are going to beat that Tiny Bones, though. We do have a Decimate. Red, green, and 2. Destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, and land. Now, this is what I've heard is the most misplayed card in all of Magic. You do have to be able to target each of those. If you don't have a target, you cannot cast it. Legion Extruder, one in a red. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target. Pay 2, tap it, sack another artifact. create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token. And that is another mythic. And a second mythic in this pack, Railway Brawler, 2 green and 3 for a reaching, trampling 5/5 Rhino Warrior. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, put X/1/1 counters on it, where X is its power, and then you can plot it for 4 mana. That's pretty awesome and would go great in my Vorinclex deck. And, oh, this is a good pack. Another rare. Aven Interrupter, 2 white and 1 for a flash flying 2/2. Enters battlefield, exile target spell. It becomes plotted. Spells your opponents cast from graveyards or from exile cost 2 more to cast. So I'm guessing if it becomes plotted, then they still have to pay 2 in order to cast it. And that is it. That is the last pack from that stack of 12. Oh, there we go. And we just have one more pack left to go, or one more stack left to go from this box. And in the meantime, here's 2 more arena codes for your enjoyment. And when we come back, we will bust open this last stack from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. We'll see you in a minute. And we are back with our third and final stack of 12 play booster packs from the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So let's get into them and see what we have and what goodness awaits us. And right off the back, right into an Omen Path Journey. Green and 3, when it enters the battlefield, search your library for up to 5 land cards that have different names and exile them, then shuffle. At the beginning of your end step, choose a card at random exiled with Omen Path Journey and put it onto the battlefield tapped. That is a fantastic ramp enchantment. Going to go ahead and get any of your key land cards that you need and just being able to play them now, albeit at random, but you having them there ready. I would just have some something to return this card from your graveyard just in case it gets blown up. Hellspur Posse Boss, 2 red and 2 for a Lizard Rogue. Other outlaws you control have haste. When it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 red mercenary creatures with tap it. Target creature you control gets +1/+0 until end of turn and activate as a sorcery. So great pack right off the bat. Into pack number 2. That was stuck into an art card. Land, Vial Smasher in foil. Essence Capture. Into Bonnie Paul Clear Cutter. When she enters the battlefield, create Bo, the legendary Blue Ox creature token. With this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control, and when you attack, draw a card, then put a land from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield. So definitely want to make some. And I think I've seen, let's go back through here. I'm pretty sure I saw where we've already pulled. There's the cow. Here's Bo that goes along with the Bonnie Paul. So those two go together. So we'll just do that. Keep them together. So kind of a good lands matter creature and commander. Play those fetch lands. Thin out your deck. Some good Simic shenanigery. And to go with that, Tiny Bones, we got Tiny Bones Joins Up. When it enters the battlefield, any number of target players each discard a card. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, any number of target players each mill a card and lose 1 life. So that's a good way to start putting, getting folks to get stuff into their graveyard for you to be able to pull with the Tiny Bones. All right. Next packaroni. Pariah, enchant creature. All damage that would be dealt to you is dealt to enchanted creature instead. So that's a good way to keep you alive, especially if it's an indestructible creature or has a way to redirect the damage elsewhere. So that's fantastic. Great hit there. Into a first special guest of the box, Stoneforge Mystic. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an equipment card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, then shuffle. And then for a white and 1, tap her to put an equipment card from your hand onto the battlefield. So that is a fantastic hit right there. With a Malcolm the Eyes, blue and red, flying haster. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, investigate. Alright, flying right through these packs. Journey to Nowhere. Into a Roxanne Starfall Savant. Red and green and 3 for a cat druid 4/3. Whenever Roxanne's Starfall Savant enters the battlefield or attacks, create a tapped colorless artifact token named Meteorite. When Meteorite enters the battlefield, it deals 2 damage to any target, and tap, add 1 mana of any color. And when you tap an artifact token for mana, add 1 mana of any type that artifact could produce. So this is going to be, artifact token mana ramp. Pair her with Savala with those icy monoliths, and I think we're going to be seeing some good mana ramp in there. All right. Endless Detour, Bant color, green, white, and blue. The owner of target spell, non-land permanent, or card in a graveyard puts it on the top or bottom of their library, and that is for an instant speed. So that would be a good way to keep something of yours being destroyed or dispatch something that belongs to someone else. Smuggler's Surprise, green instant for Spree. Pay 2 extra, mill 4 cards. Put any 2 creature or land cards from among the mill cards into your hand. 5 extra, you may put up to 2 creature cards from your hand onto the battlefield. And 1 extra, creatures you control with power 4 or greater gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. Another Electra Dominance. We already saw that in a foil. And another mythic, Bristly Bill the Spine Soa. For green and 1, landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature for a 2/2. And then pay 2 green and 3. Double the number of 1/1 counters on each creature you control. So we're just going to make some big, beefy creatures. The Key to the Vault, 1 and a blue. Whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, look at the at that many cards from the top of your library, you may exile a non-land card from among them, put the rest on the bottom of your library in random order, and you may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost. I really like that card. Anything that lets you dig through your deck and cast stuff for free, I am there for it. Humiliate into a one last job, white and 2 sorcery for Spree. Pay 2 to return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Pay 1 to return target mount or vehicle card from your graveyard to the battlefield. And then pay 1 to return target creature, pay 1 to return target aura or equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield and attach it to a creature you control. And there we go. Getting to the last couple of packs here. Skewer the critics into a Riku of the Many Paths. Green, blue, and red. Human Wizard 3/3. Whenever you cast a modal spell, choose up to X, where X is the number of times you choose a mode for that spell. Exile the top card of your library until the end of your next turn. You may play it. Put a 1/1 counter on Riku of Many Paths. It gains trample and create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying. Right. And all the commons. Alright, 3 packs remain. Still would like to see an Oko. Still would like to see a Jace. Foil Concealed Courtyard. So another one of those, when it enters the battlefield tapped, unless you control 2 or fewer lands. So that is a good hit there. Hypothesizzle. Rest in Peace. When it enters the battlefield, exile all graveyards. If a card or token would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. Into another Concealed Courtyard. Very good. Like those types of lands. Alright. 2 remain. Primal Might. Green and X. Target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn. Then it fights up to 1 target creature you don't control. That's a good way to get somebody's biggest threat off the table. Slick Shot Show Off. Red and 1 for a flying hasting Bird Wizard 1/2. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, it gets +2/+0 until end of turn, and you can plot it for 2 mana. Alright. There we go. And the last pack. And here we go. Last pack of the box. Big money. No whammies. Laughing Jasper Flint, black and red and 1. Creatures you control but don't own are mercenaries in addition to the other types. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library, where X is the number of outlaws you control. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from among those cards. And mana of any type can be spent to cast those spells. So again, trying to steal stuff from your opponents. And that looks like the box. All right, and there you have it. This is our play booster box of the Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So I hope that everybody has had a fantastic pre-release weekend and have gotten all the cards that you need and have won all your tournaments. Like I said, I didn't do too hot with mine. Came in next to last. But, you know, them's the breaks sometimes. Thank you again for hanging out with me as I have gone through and opened this box. As a thank you, here are 2 more arena codes for you. And again, give us a like, give us a follow. Let us know in the comments what you think of this format. Do you like the faster pacing a little bit better? What do you think of this camera setup that I've got rolling now? Do you like this a little bit better? It's a more over the top and looking down, whereas before it was more angled and looking straight across. I'm still trying to play with my setup and see what works best. But in the meantime, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a subscribe, so that you know when we post new videos, so you can catch the codes that I share and see all the goodies that we're breaking into. In the meantime, I am Seth, your Mild Mannered Mage, wishing everybody some happy magicking. Y'all take it easy.